What's up, everybody? It's Bradford, your carnivore curmudgeon, and it's week number 2 of a full month of eating only what I find in my refrigerator, freezer, or pantry. The exception to that is eggs, and I had just made the decision I'm going to continue to buy eggs throughout the month. And I've had some interesting finds this week, and I'm going to show you how the week went right now. And this is where it started. Had this leg of lamb left over from, I think, from New Year's that was in my freezer. Nice big leg of lamb that I decided to stud with a bunch of garlic cloves, about 20 garlic cloves. And I managed somehow to well, I know I videotaped it, but I managed somehow to actually delete that video. So you'll just have to take my word for it. I poked a bunch of holes in it and stuffed it full of garlic. Topped it off with some good old salt and pepper. And after letting it sit for a little while, it was time to get it into the smoker. 225 degrees on sort of low smoke for about 4 hours until it reached the internal temperature of 145 degrees. And while that was smoking, I got some things out, some sausage, some steaks, and several packs of pork. And I ground that pork up, and then I mixed it all up with some delicious seasonings and made two different kinds, plain and hot breakfast sausage. And after I got everything all incorporated and stirred up, then I put it in the stuffer and took some of these, it says wild game, but I know it's not wild game, so it serves a purpose. And I stuffed it into these bags to put back in the freezer, some of it, and to keep some of it out for use a little bit later. Ended up making about an 8-pound batch and separated these into 1-pound bags, and Mrs. Curmudgeon took a couple of them with her on her trip to the beach with some friends. And like I mentioned, after about 4 hours, this delightful, smoky, tender, delicious leg of lamb was done. I let it rest for probably close to an hour before I cut it. I find that the juices really run fast out of a leg of lamb if you don't let it rest long enough. And I knew this was going to go in the refrigerator anyway. So there was no need to hurry up and slice it and eat it while it was hot. And you can see some of that garlic right there. I just love the flavor of garlic with lamb. I think it really complements each other. And, another thing is I knew that this was probably going to all be just for me because the rest of the house does not especially care for lamb, at least not very often, but, well, there was one exception in the house to somebody who likes lamb, somebody who likes everything. So I had planned on this really sustaining me for a number of meals this week, and it did work out that way. Once I got it all sliced up, it was just a matter of getting it put into a container, and then I can divvy it up for meals however I wanted throughout the week. But I munched on so much of this. By the way, I put the bone away for stock later. I munched on so much of this that there was nothing to show you for dinner because I didn't eat dinner. I was full from snacking on that lamb. Now, Monday, it was back to the grind, and I had a little lunch at my desk, which consisted of some baked ham. I found a bag of baked ham left over from in the freezer, so I thawed out some of that. I also had some of this venison summer sausage that I made from last year's deer harvest, and one hard-boiled egg. So I don't eat a whole lot for lunch on purpose, but that night, I did take some of that leftover lamb and I cubed it up. It's one of my favorite ways to eat lamb is to just chunk it up and then put it in some butter. It's already got garlic in it, so I didn't need to use any garlic in the butter. And I just warm it through. I cook it on really low heat and then scramble it up with some nice, soft, scrambled, silky eggs. And for me, that's just an excellent um, combination and hearty meal. And you'll never guess what I had for lunch at my desk on Tuesday. Yeah, just a repeat from Monday: ham, summer sausage, and egg. But Tuesday night, it was time to get the grill out. It was nice out. It wasn't raining. And I had those steaks that I thawed out a couple of days before, ready to go on the grill. I salted them up and I left them sitting out on the counter for a couple of hours to soak up that salt. And, voila. Uh, through the magic of grilling, just a few minutes later, it was ready to come off. Always butter my steaks, and I didn't show it here, but I also almost always put Maldon finishing salt on top of my steaks. The weens were not for me. Those are something that I bought for the rest of the house, and I made them a batch of chili to go on top of it. Won't be partaking in that, though, because that was not already in my freezer, fridge, or pantry at the beginning of the month. I'm starting to think T-bone is my favorite if it's cut into proper thickness. I mean, I love a good ribeye. I love a good sirloin steak. But the T-bone, if it's cut right, it's just awesome. And I really changed things up at lunch. On Wednesday at my desk, I had some of that summer sausage and a leftover cheeseburger that had been sitting in my fridge for probably too long. That night, no reason to go through all the warming up things again. I had lamb and scrambled eggs again. And then the next day, back to the ham and eggs. I didn't even bother to put it on a plate. I just ate it out of the bag. I was in a hurry. So Thursday evening after work, I decided to make tacos. And I'm going to do a soft shell taco here with a recipe from Beef Boss. It's been my favorite one so far, most successful. It's 2/3 of a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of beef gelatin, and 6 tablespoons of egg whites. I'm not usually a big fan of Frankenfood, and this comes a little bit close to that for me. But I don't know if I'll ever buy more egg whites, but I have these egg whites from experimenting with other things. Stir it all up and whisk it until it's nice and smooth. And then, in order to not overdo it with the grease, so that my tortillas come out right, I just brushed on some beef tallow and then poured these in a big round circle, kind of thin, and cooked them for a couple of minutes on each side. The tough part, for me at least, is flipping these things. But if they're done enough on one side, they're pretty elastic, and they'll hold together well enough to at least get you through the cooking process. Then I put some parchment paper down in the air fryer and took some shredded cheese, which has also probably been in the fridge for just about too long. Stuck it in the air fryer to make myself a crispy aspect to my taco. It's going to be kind of a double-decker taco with a soft shell and a hard shell. I was surprised to see this flying around the inside of the air fryer, but it crisped up very nicely. And I just stuck a wooden spoon between two mason jars, and when this was cool enough to handle without being all the way cooled, I've stuck it on there to sort of form the shape of a taco. And then a little bit later in the evening, when I was ready to eat, I took some leftover chuck roast from last week, and I decided that would be my filling for my taco. I just chopped it all up and got my two different kinds of taco shells together, took the soft one and spread on some sour cream, and was hoping that that would stick to the cheesy part, the crunchy part on the inside. It didn't really, but it didn't matter because I had to hold it in my hand to eat it anyway. And after I got them all situated, I filled them up as full as I could with that warmed up, shredded chuck roast. And then I just kind of topped it off with a little bit of crunchy, fresh onion. And didn't take a picture, but they were delicious. Friday rolled around and it was for sure the busiest day of the week. Had all kinds of things going on. So I just took out some of these venison snack sticks and let them thaw at the office. And then I ate two of them for a on the go quick lunch on Friday. Then on Friday evening, what I did is I took that breakfast sausage that I showed you earlier in the week, I ground up and with a little bit of bacon grease in this Our Place pan, which I love. I just threw all that sausage that I didn't put in the freezer into this pan, chopped it up good, and cooked it. Some of it I reserved for taking up. I'm going to watch my granddaughters tomorrow, and I'm going to make them breakfast Sunday morning. But some of it I took and went ahead and scrambled some eggs in, just like I did with the lamb. And in fact, when I got it all done, I looked at it and said, that's not enough food. So I grabbed a handful of that cubed up lamb, and I ended up just warming that up just a tiny bit and making a nice big hearty protein bowl. And that's it. Don't have anything to report for Saturday night. I'm going to be going up to watch the Grands, as I mentioned, and I have no idea what the evening is going to bring. Although I understand it has something to do with Mario Karts, waffles, and walking the dog. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll return and check out what in the world I find in the freezer and in the pantry next week. Thanks for watching. See you then.